like and subscribe to the channel, and maybe I won't tell your parents exactly what you smoked on the weekend with friends. Tattoo artists of Reddit, what are the worst experiences you've ever had with a customer? Tattoo apprentice here. Not me, but my boss. Had a guy come in who wants his whole dick and balls transformed in a dragon. Boss agrees to do it for a ridiculous price, like $1,000 for what would take 3 hours or so. Ends up tattooing him in the private room at our shop, but of course everyone in the shop is dying to know how he accomplished it. Basically, when you're tattooing, one hand is running the machine with the needle and the other is stretching the skin tight, but like, how do you stretch dick skin? Did he have the guy get a boner, or what? Turns out he had the guy stretch it out himself. Like he spent 3 hours yanking his dick first one way, then the other, so my boss could tattoo the whole damn thing, then batwinging out his nuts. His original thought was for the guy to have a hard-on, but he couldn't keep it going while it was getting jabbed with a needle, obviously. Now our shop refuses genital tattoos and that's why. A friend of mine worked in a tattoo shop, but he was the piercing guy. A couple came in one afternoon and she wanted her hood, actual part to be pierced instead of the clit, pierced. Nothing unusual about this, except that my buddy said they must have just finished having sex in the parking lot and homeboy finished all up in there. As soon as she got in the chair it started to ooze out and got on their chair. They were not so kindly asked to never return. That's disgusting. I gagged. My buddy used to have this artist guest spot at his shop. So one time, when I was getting tattooed, he told the worst tattoo story I've ever heard. So the artist lives in a rural town, and not many new people come looking for work. One day this old lady comes in and asks for clown makeup tattooed on her face. The artist says no for obvious reasons and she leaves. The next day she comes again. This time it's only a new artist working. This younger guy at the shop was hurting for cash at the moment and agreed to tattoo the clown makeup on her face. Little did he know that the lady had a severe mental disability. A few days later detectives show up at the shop asking about the woman and the encounter with her. Turns out after she came to from her episode and realized what she did, and she killed herself. Fuck, that got dark. I was not expecting that. How did the guy handle it? Obligatory, not a tattoo artist, but an old friend of mine was the local tattoo shop's worst client. Friend wanted a best before date that said his 30th birthday. We convinced him not to get an expiration date tattoo. The shop didn't want to do it, but after much persuasion and a huge price tag they did. On his birthday he gets into a huge motorcycle crash and loses use of his legs. They have sworn off any tattoos with an end date in the future or any tattoos implying death, including live fast, die young, etc. They have a large sign in the shop about this. Tattooist for 7 years, retired in 2009 for careers closer to my degrees. These are common, vag/dick/anus requests, unhygienic everybody, design narcissists, and stereotypical white girl tattoos, people who run out mid-session, drunks, assholes. Worst experience, had to work on a 40-year-old autistic woman who had a fit about needles and people touching her, fun times. She kept moving and freaking out. No solid lines at all. I did my best to conceal the moving mistakes, but she absolutely loved the Honu turtle. I understand the client's limits, but her caretakers were the worst people ever. Two 20-something medical workers that went behind the shop to do coke and smoke weed. I know because they offered. Couldn't tell which was a nurse or social worker, but after we were done, the caretakers decided, hey, let's go in the bathroom and try to fuck. So me and the client are getting to know each other. I'm surprised she was willing to talk and socialize with me considering how the session went. Music changes in the shop. 10 seconds of loud sex noises. Client says, they always have fun like that in front of me. Heart drop, want to beat both their asses. Caretakers get done. Girl has jizz on her scrubs. Guy has the largest wet spot on his pants. And they both stank like weed/sweat/hot garbage. Client gives me the biggest hug ever and all I feel is hate towards the caretakers. Edit. Wow. Didn't expect this kind of response. Thanks for the gold. You guys are beautiful. Not the worst, but I had a couple come in. The girl had just turned 18 and the guy looked late 30s. She said that he was going to pick whatever he wanted for her to get tattooed on her. He chose to have his name and then owns me written across her lower stomach. Nowadays I'd turn that shit down, but this was when I'd first started tattooing. I was working in a real scumbag shop where my boss was just a massive money grabber, so I didn't really have much of a choice but to do it. So she's getting the tattoo done, all the while he's saying about how they're coming back the next day for him to get her nickname on his neck, Princess Bubby. He keeps going out on the phone, and when he comes back she was going, "I know you're talking to other girls, don't lie to me," and he's just laughing in the most cocksure way. Towards the end she looks at him with big puppy dog eyes and goes, "I love you," and he just replied, "I know." Safe to say he never came back for Princess Bubby. Think for me, it was when I had a small name in on someone's back. She told me at the beginning she was prone to fainting, and she stated it on her consent form too. I nonchalantly brushed it off and told her she'd be fine. I get to the last letter and she asks if we could have a quick break because she felt lightheaded. It was around Halloween at the time, so her friend brought in the pumpkin bucket of sweets we had out in the waiting room. I thought she was just leaning forwards to have a look at what goodies were in there, but instead it was more her doing a Luigi style torpedo forwards off the chair onto the floor. I luckily sprinted around and caught her before her head hit the floor. She had a small fit and came around about a minute later. Whilst on this subject, don't worry about anything like that if you're considering a tattoo. Like embarrassing yourself or whatnot. It's not a nice experience for us either. If they are reputable artists, you'll be in safe hands if it does happen. Husband is a tattoo artist. He worked in Hollywood for a few years at a very popular shop. Anyway, he had a porn star come in to get a tattoo of a garter on each thigh. She wore a skirt, appropriately. Anyway, for about 2.5 hours every time she moved, he said he got hit in the face with dead fish smell. He visibly gagged a few times and brushed it off, that the maticide smell made him sick. Oh. Story told to me by my artist while I was getting tattooed. Guy and girl come into his shop and ask to get a tattoo on the chick's back. A couple minutes into it the lady starts squirming. The artist asks her to sit still. Couple minutes later she starts squirming again. He says, "If you don't sit still I can't finish the tattoo." She says, "It really hurts, but there's something that might help." Artist says, "Do whatever you need. Just sit still." So, she manages to stop squirming, and it's a while before the artist notices her head is bobbing. He looks up from the tattoo and this chick has her boyfriend's dick in her mouth. He finishes up the tattoo, they pay and leave. A week later the artist is at a pool hall, and he recognizes a guy. They make small talk, and he asks, "How's your girlfriend's tattoo healing?" The guy says, "Girlfriend? That was the first day I met that crazy bitch. I haven't talked to her since." Not an artist, but after one of my tattoos, 3-hour session, the artist asked me if I could come back the next day for a picture. I agreed because why the hell not? It turned out great, and if the guy wanted a picture for his portfolio, then I was more than willing to help him out. So jump to the next day, when I get there, he starts cleaning off the tattoo on my forearm to make it look clean for the picture. That's when things start to go a bit weird. I straight up passed out from the cleaning. Fell headfirst into the drywall. TL. Doctor passed out from the cleaning, not from the actual tattooing. Small guy here, not artist but fun story. 18 years old, a buddy went through a bad breakup and decided to get a tattoo while depressed. Tried to talk him out of it, but he insisted. And insisted I drive. Whatever. We get there, and he has the tattoo planned out. Outline cross on right bicep. I have a couple of tattoos, so I think that's easy, in and out. Right before they get started friend says, "By the way, I'm phobic of needles." He ends up having a seizure like blackout, right when the artist starts. Artist just says, he's gone, catch him. Calm as fuck. I catch my friend as he's falling off the chair and the artist just says, hold him still. Takes 2 hours for a 30-minute tattoo. I'm embarrassed, but the artist just says, you should have seen the 300-pound biker yesterday. Try catching him. People are weird. Was working on top floor of tattoo studio, tattooing a bloke early one Saturday morning. He goes pale and says he need to pee. Quickly point him in the direction of the bathroom. 10 minutes later get worried he has passed out on the toilet. It happens. Go to walk down the stairs. Notice a super gross stench. Look down at the stairs and see tiny little piles of diarrhea on each step. Guy has shit himself on the way to the toilet and run away. Never saw him or his money again. Thank God for apprentices. Recently got my foot done, and because I'm a nosy fucker and was trying to distract myself from the pain, I got a story out of the guy that inked me. It was a mother/son pair and the son wanted a tattoo on his stomach. The artist printed the stencil and slapped it on his stomach. And not good placement. The mother was complaining. Attempt number 2, not good placement. They were getting loud and the mom was making sexual comments about her son. That looks so hot, and the third stencil got placed on. Still not good. They were getting rude. With every stencil they just got louder and meaner, that the guy kicked them out. First and last time he had to give someone the boot. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel and like, this is really important for us.